You know what to do. That's the strange part. You've read the books, you understand the theory, you could probably explain to someone else exactly what they need to do to fix the thing you haven't fixed yourself. And yet here you are, still stuck, still planning, still preparing to prepare. This isn't a laziness problem. Lazy people don't research obsessively, they don't fill notebooks with plans, they don't lie awake at night thinking about what they should be doing differently. This is something more specific, and it disproportionately affects smart, self-aware, capable people, often more than it affects people who are less thoughtful about their own lives. Today we're going to look at the specific psychological patterns that keep intelligent people stuck, and why the very traits that make someone smart can become the exact thing holding them back. Here's a paradox that doesn't get talked about enough. Intelligence is genuinely useful for analyzing problems, spotting risks, understanding complexity, and imagining future scenarios. These are real advantages. But those same abilities, when turned inward, without action, become a very effective engine for staying exactly where you are. The smarter you are, the better you are at generating reasons why now isn't quite the right time, why the plan needs one more revision, why the conditions aren't quite right yet, why you should learn a bit more before you start. You can outthink yourself into complete paralysis. And because the reasoning feels intelligent, because it's sophisticated and nuanced and not obviously wrong, it's much harder to see it for what it is. A stupid excuse is easy to dismiss. A clever excuse feels like wisdom. The patterns that keep smart people stuck overthinking and analysis paralysis. Psychologists call it analysis paralysis, and it's exactly what it sounds like. The more information you gather and the more variables you consider, the harder it becomes to make a decision and act on it. A 2006 study by psychologist App Dijksterhuis found something counterintuitive. For complex decisions, people who were distracted and couldn't overthink them often made better choices than people given unlimited time to analyze. The conscious mind, it turns out, can only hold a limited number of variables at once. Beyond a certain point, more thinking makes decisions worse, not better. For smart people, that threshold gets crossed constantly because the brain keeps finding more variables worth considering. Every answer generates 3 new questions. Every plan reveals 5 new risks. The analysis never feels complete, because for a thorough thinker, it never is. And so nothing gets started, because starting feels premature, and it always will. Perfectionism. As self-protection, perfectionism is often misunderstood as high standards. It's not. High standards are about the quality of your output. Perfectionism is about protecting your self-image. Here's the psychology. If you never finish, never publish, never launch, never show anyone, then you never get judged. Your potential remains intact. The version of you that could have succeeded stays alive because it's never been tested. Researcher Brené Brown describes perfectionism as a 20-ton shield. It feels like it's protecting you, but it's actually preventing you from being seen from doing anything real, anything vulnerable, anything that could fail. Smart people are especially vulnerable to this because they can see very clearly how their work falls short of their own standards. The gap between what they've made and what they imagined is painful and obvious, and closing that gap feels like it requires just a little more time, a little more refinement. But the gap never fully closes. Because the standard rises with the work, perfectionism is another treadmill. The imposter spiral, imposter syndrome, the persistent feeling that you're not as capable as others perceive you to be, and that you'll eventually be found out, is strikingly common among high achievers. Studies suggest that up to 70% of people experience it at some point, but it's particularly entrenched in people who are genuinely competent, because competence comes with awareness of complexity. This is called the Dunning-Kruger effect, in reverse, where genuine knowledge creates genuine humility, which can tip into paralyzing self-doubt. You know enough to know you're not perfect, and so you wait until you are, which is forever. Here's the reframe. Your intelligence is not the problem. The problem is that you've been using it as a planning tool when you need to be using it as an execution tool. Planning is valuable up to a point. The most useful thing a smart person can learn is this: good enough and done is almost always more valuable than perfect and waiting. Not because quality doesn't matter, it does, But because the gap between your first attempt and your best work can only be closed by doing the work, not by thinking about doing it, every creator, entrepreneur, writer, or builder you admire has a body of early work they're embarrassed by. That embarrassing early work is not a failure. It's the tuition. It's what earned them the skills that made the later work good. 3 shifts specifically for the overthinker, the person who knows what to do and still isn't doing it. First, set a research deadline. Before starting any project or decision, give yourself a fixed amount of time to research and plan. And when that time is up, you start regardless. 1 week, 3 days, whatever fits the scale of the thing. The deadline isn't arbitrary, it's recognizing that without a forcing function, preparation expands to fill all available time. You will never feel fully ready. The deadline makes that irrelevant. Second, ship something small every week. Not your magnum opus. Something small, finished, and out in the world. A post, a message, a first draft sent to one person, a decision made and acted on. The goal is to build the identity and the reflex of finishing things, of crossing the line. Every small, completed thing rewires your brain slightly away from the preparation loop and toward the execution loop. Volume and consistency beat quality and hesitation every time at the start. Third, separate the thinking from the doing. Give yourself a specific, time-limited window for analysis, say 20 minutes. Think hard, consider the options, weigh the risks. When the timer goes off, close the thinking and open the doing. Don't let them bleed together. The reason smart people get stuck is that the thinking never stops. There's always one more consideration. The timer forces a transition. Action doesn't have to feel ready. It just has to start. Intelligence got you here, but finishing things is what will get you where you want to go. The world is full of smart, capable, well-prepared people who never quite got started, whose best work lived entirely in their heads, whose potential was real and private and unused. Don't be that person.